video that reopened everything. FBG Duck's son did not need a courtroom, a lawyer, or a news camera to make the internet freeze. All he needed was a picture of his father, a phone in front of him, and a message aimed straight at Lil Durk that made people realize the story was never finished. For years, fans talked about FBG Duck like a headline, like a diss track, like another name caught in Chicago's drill history. But to his son, Duck was not a headline. He was not a viral clip. He was not a character in somebody else's beef. He was Dad. And when that young boy appeared holding his father's picture, the whole conversation changed. Suddenly, the story was not about who won online, who had the biggest song, or who had the loudest fan base. It was about a child growing up with questions that no #1 record can answer. The moment hit hard because of where the story began. On the 4th of August 2020, FBG Duck, born Carlton Weekly, was in Chicago's Gold Coast area, reportedly shopping for a birthday gift for his son. That detail is what makes everything so heavy. He was not on stage. He was not filming a music video. He was not trying to turn the streets into content. He was doing something normal, something quiet, something human. A father was trying to buy something for his child. Then everything changed in broad daylight. The shooting shook Chicago, the rap world, and eventually the federal courts. What followed was years of investigations, trials, lawsuits, accusations, and online debates. But behind every legal document and every viral post was the same painful truth. A son lost his father before he ever got the chance to truly understand why the world around him was so loud. That is why the video matters. It is not just another internet moment. It is grief speaking back. It is the next generation looking at the old generation and asking why so many lives had to be broken for clout, revenge, loyalty, music, and street reputation. Before we go deeper, comment where you are watching from right now. If you believe this story is about more than rap music, press 1. If you think the truth still has not fully come out, press 2. And make sure you subscribe, because this story is about to get deeper than most people are ready for. A birthday gift that never made it home. The hardest part of FBG Duck's story is not just that he was killed. It is what he was reportedly doing right before it happened. He was shopping for his son. That detail turns a rap world tragedy into something painfully personal, because it reminds everybody that behind the songs, the beefs, and the street names, there was a father trying to show love to his child. Duck had become one of the most recognizable voices connected to Chicago drill. His music was raw, direct, and often tied to the pain and pressure of the environment he came from. He was not the polished industry version of street rap. He sounded like someone speaking from the middle of the storm. That made fans respect him, but it also placed him inside one of the most dangerous public feuds in modern rap history. By the time Duck was killed, the tension between factions connected to Tuckerville and O-Block had already been building for years. The rivalry had lived in neighborhoods, music videos, comment sections, memorial posts, and diss records. Every name mentioned online carried history. Every song felt like a response to something deeper, and every viral moment risked becoming real-life pressure. Duck's song, Dead Beat, became one of the most controversial moments connected to the case. Some people saw it as another aggressive drill record. Others saw it as a direct provocation in a city where words can carry consequences. According to investigators and court discussions, the song was viewed as part of the atmosphere leading up to the attack. But the bigger tragedy is that music, grief, and retaliation had become so tangled that nobody could separate entertainment from danger anymore. That is why his son's video landed with so much force. The same child Duck was reportedly shopping for became a young voice, reminding the world that the consequences did not end when the headlines faded. Fans moved on to the next controversy. Blogs moved on to the next arrest. Rappers moved on to the next song. But Duck's family did not move on. His son did not move on. For him, the 4th of August 2020 was not just a date in drill history. It was the day a birthday gift never made it home. O-Block, Tuckerville, and the war behind the music. To understand why Duck's son speaking out shook the internet, you have to understand the world behind the names. O-Block was not just a place fans shouted in songs. Tuckerville was not just a word people used in comment sections. These names carried real grief, real losses, and years of pain that turned into music. Then music turned into attention, and attention turned into even more danger. Chicago drill became powerful because it sounded real. The voices were young, angry, wounded, and fearless. But the same realism that made the music explode also made the consequences darker. Rappers were not just creating characters. Many were speaking from ongoing conflicts, where every lyric could be interpreted as disrespect. Every Instagram post could become a message, and every viral moment could raise the temperature. FBG Duck stood in the middle of that world with a voice that could not be ignored. He had charisma, humor, aggression, and a kind of directness that made people listen, even when they knew the subject matter was dangerous. He was not just another rapper from Chicago. He was one of the people who helped shape the language of the scene. The word clout became tied to his influence, and that word would later describe the same machine that helped destroy so many young artists. On the other side, O-Block became one of the most famous names in drill culture, especially as artists connected to that world gained national attention. King Von's rise made O-Block even more visible. Lil Durk's success pushed Chicago drill further into the mainstream, but as the music industry celebrated the sound, the unresolved pain behind it kept following everyone involved. That is where the story becomes bigger than one rapper. Labels made money. Fans picked sides. Social media turned grief into entertainment. People who were never from Chicago started commenting like they understood the weight behind those names. They turned tragedy into memes, court cases into gossip, and real fathers, sons, brothers, and mothers into characters in a never-ending online series. Duck's son's video cut through that noise. It reminded everyone that this was not just a rap rivalry, it was a family wound. And some wounds do not close, just because the internet finds a new story. The alleged bounty in the shadow of King Von. One of the most explosive parts of the FBG Duck case was the allegation that a bounty had been placed on his life. In court filings and public statements connected to the family's lawsuit, attorneys claimed that a six-figure price was allegedly connected to Duck's death. That accusation instantly changed how people viewed the case. It was no longer just about street tension or an argument that went too far. It became a question of planning, influence, money, and power. King Von's name became central to that conversation. Von was one of the most successful artists to come out of O-Block, and his relationship with Lil Durk is widely known. Durk did not just collaborate with him, he helped introduce Von to a wider audience. Their bond looked like brotherhoods of fans, business to the industry, and loyalty to the people around them. But after Duck's death, that connection came under a much darker spotlight. During the legal fallout, witnesses and filings pointed toward the idea that Von allegedly wanted Duck gone. Prosecutors and civil attorneys discussed claims that money, jewelry, and social media posts helped tell a story of reward and celebration after the killing. Those claims became part of the public narrative, even as people continued debating what was proven, what was alleged, and what still lived in the gray area between the streets and the courts. For Duck's family, the question was never only about the men who physically carried out the attack. They wanted to know who encouraged it, who benefited from it, who celebrated it, and who helped create an environment where Duck's life could be treated like a trophy. That is why Lil Durk's name kept coming back into the conversation. Not because every claim had already been fully decided in every court, but because Durk was connected to Von, connected to OTF, and connected to the larger world that Duck's family believes profited while they suffered. That is a heavy accusation, and it has to be treated carefully. But emotionally, it explains why Duck's son would aim his pain toward Durk. To him, and to many people watching, Durk represents more than one person. He represents the successful side of a world where his father did not survive. 6 convictions, but still no closure. When 6 men connected to O-Block were convicted in FBG Duck's murder, a lot of people thought the story had finally reached an ending. The legal system had named the shooters. The trial had exposed evidence, surveillance, movements, online posts, and connections that helped prosecutors build their case. Life sentences followed, and from the outside, it looked like justice had arrived. But justice and closure are not the same thing. For Duck's family, those convictions answered one part of the story, but not the whole story. The people who carried out the attack were held accountable, but the family continued asking bigger questions. Who created the pressure? Who encouraged the violence? Who may have funded it? Who used the aftermath to build an image, sell music, or gain street credibility? Those questions are harder to prove in court, but they are not easy for a grieving family to let go. That is why the civil lawsuits became so important. Duck's family did not only look at the convicted men, they pointed toward larger systems, including the city, private security, luxury businesses, record labels, artists, and people they believed had some level of responsibility. Whether every claim succeeds or fails legally, the lawsuits show how wide the family believes the accountability should go. One of the most painful allegations involved the response after Duck was shot. The family claimed in legal filings that he remained alive for several minutes before receiving medical help. That allegation became one of the most emotional parts of the case. because it forced people to imagine the difference between a public shooting as a headline and a human being waiting for help. Duck's son did not need to understand every legal argument to understand loss. He did not need to know every name and every filing to know that his father was gone. That is what makes the video so powerful. The court system can speak in timelines, exhibits, testimony, and verdicts. A child speaks in absence, and after the convictions, that absence was still there. 6 men could be sentenced, headlines could declare justice, but Duck's son still had to grow up without hearing his father's voice in the room. That is why, for him, the story was not over. Lil Durk's success and the pressure around his name. Lil Durk's rise is one of the biggest stories in modern rap. He came from Chicago's drill scene and built himself into a mainstream star, a Grammy winner, and one of the most recognizable voices in hip-hop. To his fans, Durk represents survival. He lost people close to him, stayed consistent, kept recording, and turned pain into success. But to critics and grieving families connected to these cases, his success also raises difficult questions about what kind of stories the industry rewards. Durk built a career on melody, pain, loyalty, and street memory. His music often carried the weight of loss. He spoke about dead friends, betrayal, revenge, trauma, and survival. That honesty made fans feel close to him. But when real cases began circling people in his orbit, the same themes that made the music powerful became part of a darker public conversation. Duck's family has alleged that Durk and others benefited from music and imagery connected to violence. They argue that the industry did not just watch from a distance, but helped amplify a culture where real conflicts became profitable entertainment. That is not only about Durk. It is about the entire machine: labels, blogs, fans, algorithms, and platforms that reward danger when it sounds exciting. At the same time, Durk has publicly spoken about wanting to slow down violence and bring people together. That contradiction is exactly what makes his story so complicated. Can an artist come from violence, rap about violence, lose people to violence, speak against violence, and still be accused of being tied to more violence? In the world of drill, the answer is not simple. The past does not disappear when an artist becomes successful. Sometimes success only makes the past louder. That is why Duck's son's message hit Durk's name so directly. Durk is not just another rapper in the story. He is the biggest surviving symbol of that era's commercial victory. King Von is gone, Duck is gone. Many others are gone or locked away. Durk became the one who made it to the biggest stages. And when a child who lost his father looks at that success, he may not see inspiration. He may see a reminder of everything his family never got back. The new federal trouble around Durk. The story became even more intense when Lil Durk found himself facing federal trouble tied to a separate alleged murder-for-hire plot. The case was not the same as FBG Duck's murder, but to many people watching, it made old questions feel new again. Suddenly, Duck's family's concerns did not seem like something buried in the past. They felt connected to a larger pattern that prosecutors and civil attorneys were now trying to examine. According to public reporting and court discussions, federal authorities accused Durk of being connected to a plot targeting Quando Rondo, a rapper linked to the incident where King Von was killed in Atlanta. The alleged retaliation attempt happened in Los Angeles and resulted in the death of Savion Robinson, Quando Rondo's cousin. Durk has not been convicted in that case, and every allegation must be treated as allegation unless proven in court. But the charges raised the stakes around his name in a way that shook the entire rap world. For fans, it was shocking because Durk had reached a level where he seemed beyond the chaos that shaped his early career. He had major records, awards, business connections, and mainstream respect. He was no longer just a Chicago drill rapper trying to survive the city's pressure. He was a global artist. But federal cases do not care about chart positions. They move slowly, quietly, and aggressively. That is why the timing of Duck's son's video felt so heavy. It arrived in a moment where Durk's public image was already under pressure. People were asking whether the success story had another side. They were asking whether old street loyalties followed him into rooms where fame should have protected him. They were asking whether the same cycle that took Duck, Von, and others had simply moved from Chicago blocks to national headlines. For Duck's son, the federal case may have felt like confirmation that the questions around Durk were not finished. But legally, the courtroom still has to decide what can be proven. Emotionally, though, the damage is already real. Families are grieving. Children are growing up with missing parents. And the music that once sounded like survival now sounds, to some people, like evidence of a world that never stopped bleeding. When social media turns pain into entertainment, One of the darkest parts of this entire story is how the internet reacts. Every time a new detail drops, people rush to take sides. Some defend Durk no matter what. Some attack him before anything is proven. Some use Duck's name for likes. Some bring up Vaughn, O'Block, Tookerville, and old diss records like they are talking about sports teams instead of real people who died. That is the sickness of clout culture. The same word Duck helped popularize became the perfect description of what happened after his death. People chase attention by reacting to pain. They turn court cases into live stream drama. They turn family grief into comment wars. They turn children's pain into content without asking whether they are helping or just feeding the same machine. Duck's son's video is powerful, but it also raises a difficult question. Should a child have to speak publicly for adults to care? Should the world need to see a young person holding a picture of his father before remembering that this was a family tragedy? The internet often says it wants justice, but many people are really addicted to the drama. They want the next shocking clip, the next name drop, the next reaction, the next rumor. That addiction helped build drill music into a global force, but it also made the consequences harder to escape. Rappers learned that controversy sells. Fans learned that disrespect gets attention. Blogs learned that grief drives clicks. Labels learned that authenticity, even when dangerous, can be profitable. Everybody got something from the machine, except the families left behind. This is why the story of FBG Duck's son is not just about Lil Durk. It is about what happens when a child inherits a war he never started. He was not in the studio when diss songs were recorded. He was not in the streets when old conflicts began. He did not sign a record deal. He did not choose the internet's obsession with Chicago pain. But he still has to live with the result. That is the part people should sit with. Every viral beef has a family behind it. Every street legend leaves someone grieving. Every name fans scream in comment sections belongs to somebody's father, son, brother, or friend. The question nobody can escape. By the time you reach this part of the story, one question becomes impossible to ignore. What did all of this actually cost? FBG Duck lost his life at 26. His son lost years of memories that can never be created. Duck's mother and family were left fighting through grief, lawsuits, interviews, and public pain. 6 men connected to a block were convicted and sentenced to life. King Von, whose name still shadows the case through allegations and history, is gone too. Lil Durk, the biggest star still standing from that world, now faces his own legal battles and a public image permanently tied to questions of violence, loyalty, and responsibility. Nobody truly wins in a story like this. Some people get money, some get fame, some get songs streamed millions of times, some get their names turned into mythology. But when the smoke clears, families are left with empty chairs, prison sentences, court dates, and children asking questions that adults never answer cleanly. Duck's son sending a message to Durk is not just a dramatic moment, it is a symbol of unfinished pain. The courts can decide legal guilt. The public can debate who knew what, who ordered what, who encouraged what, and who profited from what. But no court ruling can give that child back the simple experience of growing up with his father. No verdict can undo the moment Duck went shopping for a birthday gift and never returned home. That is why this case keeps coming back. It is not only because of the famous names, it is because the story exposes the cost of turning real conflict into entertainment. It shows what happens when music, trauma, social media, street politics, and money become one system. And it forces fans to ask whether they are just watching the story or helping keep the machine alive. As Durk's legal future continues to unfold, and as Duck's family continues searching for fuller accountability, the video from Duck's son will remain one of the most emotional moments in the entire saga. It does not prove a case by itself. It does not replace evidence. But it reminds everyone what the evidence is really about. Not clout, not charts, not street points. A father, a son, and a wound that still has not healed. The lesson hidden inside the pain. The most important lesson from FBG Duck's story is not about choosing sides. It is not about proving which fan base can argue louder, which rapper had more influence, or which neighborhood had the bigger name. The real lesson is that when pain becomes entertainment, the people closest to the tragedy are usually the ones left carrying the heaviest burden. FBG Duck's son reminded everybody of that without giving a speech. A child holding his father's picture says more than 1,000 internet debates ever could. It forces people to stop seeing Duck as only a rapper, only a rival, or only a name in a court case. He was somebody's father. He was somebody's son. He was somebody's family. And when his life ended, the the impact did not stop with the people who were arrested or the headlines that followed. They moved into the next generation. That is why this story should make fans think differently about rap beef. Music can tell the truth. It can express pain. It can document what people survive. But when fans turn real trauma into team sports, they help keep the cycle alive. Every disrespectful comment, every joke about a dead person, every viral clip celebrating someone's downfall adds fuel to a fire that has already taken too much. Lil Durk's situation, Duck's family's lawsuits, King Von's shadow over the case, and the convictions of the men tied to Duck's killing all show how complicated this world became. Fame did not erase the streets. Money did not heal old wounds. Success did not protect everyone from the consequences of choices, loyalty, grief, and revenge. And even when the courts speak, the emotional damage continues. The peaceful lesson is simple but powerful. Somebody has to break the cycle. Artists need room to grow beyond old conflicts. Fans need to stop rewarding real-life destruction. Platforms need to stop pushing pain only because it gets clicks. And young people watching this story need to understand that clout is never worth a life, a family, or a future. FBG Duck's son should not have to carry this story alone. No child should have to become a public reminder of what adults fail to fix. If anything good can come from all this pain, it should be a deeper respect for life, family, and peace. If this story made you think differently, hit the like button, share it with someone who follows rap culture, and subscribe for more deep breakdowns like this. Comment 1 if you believe the new generation needs peace more than ever then. Comment 2 if you think the industry needs to take more responsibility for the pain it profits from.